time to spill the tea. The Americans protested the British taxes with the Boston Tea Party, an event that was a factor in starting the American Revolutionary War. This war eventually ended with a treaty that led to America's freedom. The Boston Tea Party had many different causes, but the main one was taxation without representation. Knowing they could make a lot of money, Britain put a tax on tea. Americans began smuggling because the price was so high. In 1767, the Indemnity Act was passed, an effort to stop Americans from smuggling by ending tax on tea. It definitely slowed down the smuggling, but later in 1767, the Townshend Revenue Act was placed on glass, lead, oil, paint, and paper. In 1770, the Townshend Revenue Act was repealed on everything but tea. The Tea Act was placed in 1773 on the American colonies, which started the smuggling again. Samuel Adams was one of the smugglers who very avidly opposed the Tea Act and taxation without representation. He was also a Son of Liberty. The Sons of Liberty played a major role in the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum says that the seminal act and lasting legacy of the Sons of Liberty on the history of the American Revolution was the December 16, 1773 orchestrating of the Boston Tea Party. There were 3 ships involved in the Boston Tea Party. On November 28th, the ship the Dartmouth arrived in Boston. On December 2nd, the Eleanor arrived. And due to a case of smallpox, the Beaver arrived in Boston on December 15th, one day before the Boston Tea Party. The William, a 4th ship, was supposed to arrive, but because of a storm, it was unable to do so. On the morning of December 16th, the Old South Meeting House hosted about 5,000 people to resolve the issues about the tea taxing. An article from the Boston Gazette says that, "But behold what followed. A number of brave and resolute men determined to do all in their power to save their country from the ruin which their enemies had plotted. In less than 4 hours, empty every chest of tea on board the 3 ships commanded by the captains Hall, Bruce, and Coffin, amounting to 342 chests, into the sea." Samuel Adams wisely did not join the dressed-up people in the destruction of the tea, so he could not be accused of participating. Also, no one ended up getting punished for the deed, but the Boston Tea Party had its cons. The harbor reeked with the smell of tea for weeks. Something also happened on March 8, 1774 that's sometimes overlooked. A couple of tea crates were destroyed in Boston once again, almost like a smaller tea party. The Boston Port Bill was passed on March 30th that closed Boston's port until the damage was paid for. But it didn't actually go into action until June 1st. On September 5th, 1774, the First Continental Congress met. And October 26th marked the day for when they sent a petition to repeal all of the coercive acts. In the Old South Meeting House, Dr. Warren addressed a crowd of thousands of Bostonians about the Boston Massacre's anniversary. Tensions were very high between British soldiers and Bostonians. Then, on April 19th, the American Revolution officially began with the battles at Lexington and Concord. The Second Continental Congress met to attempt to reconcile with the king, to no avail. On March 17, 1776, General George Washington and his Continental Army drove out the British troops from Boston. Many battles followed this. In 1778, American armies survived nearly starving to death in Valley Forge. Many British armies surrendered in 1780, and in 1782, many peace articles were signed. But it was not until September 3rd, 1783, that the Treaty of Paris was signed, the treaty that officially ended Revolutionary War. As a result, the U.S. was recognized as an independent country. In conclusion, the Boston Tea Party may have been a small point in history, but it sparked a revolution. The Boston Tea Party was a conflict that led to a massive revolution, but ultimately led to compromise through the Treaty of Paris. And the tea has been spilled.